Just kind of wait to see if folks decide to show up. We'll see how it goes. Well, I just wanted to pop in and just give kind of an update. We are only 10 days left with the Undersea Hero Kickstarter. Brandon, good to see you. Only 10 days left for the Undersea Hero Kickstarter. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, there's a link in the description. There's a link in the comments. Got all kinds of neat rewards on there. And yeah, people have like asked me to do this for years. So, oh, thank you. We want it to be silly and fun. And that's why tonight we're going to do just like a head sketch montage of the main characters. And that's just something light because I do this as a draw. I don't know about you, but one of the exercises that I like to do is just draw faces. Like I will just practice, 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 and I can do it on little scraps of paper. It doesn't require a ton of like investment of time. And it's just figuring out how the shapes fit together in a 2D space. Do you have any drawing exercises that you do regularly? Like this is kind of like a more formal version of my warm up, where I'll just draw a couple of faces in a sketchbook. Yeah. One of the things I like to do when I'm exaggerating a facial feature is just go asymmetrical. Don't have, you don't want the eyes to be the same shape and size. I don't want the schematically it to be too similar on the left and right. Um, Same thing with the lighting. I don't want to be um, too much of worrying about symmetry. I don't want to worry too much about that. To worry about it to a certain degree, but not as much as. The correlator's fun to draw just because he's always kind of mugging. He's always got like a weird, and then I'll add little twists to it. Like I'll just put a little space between his teeth, and that just adds a different dynamic to it. Oh, thank you. Yeah. No, I mean, it's just I love going to the ocean, and, I think that, um, I was trying to just come up with fun ways to incorporate the sea. And if we get to our next stretch goal, everybody gets a little piece of both the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans sent right to them. I've told that story plenty of times where I was at San Diego Comic Con this year, and one of the things I wanted to bring back more than any souvenir or anything else was just a little bit of water from the Pacific Ocean for this very idea that I've been playing with of doing remarks with seawater from both the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. I'll probably do those sorts of prints in the future, even if we don't hit that stretch goal. But this would probably be the only way to get one through the mail. Shipping 11 by 17s is not fun, and it's expensive. And actually, for this one, it would be a little bit smaller. It adds a little bit of a softer finish to it. If you've ever messed around with it, it's fun to do. It's not quite as exaggerated as when you put dry salt on watercolors, which if you've ever done that, it creates like just a whole new texture because it absorbs the water. So no, thank you. Hey, it's people have been asking me to do a Kickstarter for over 10 years. You've been saying you got to do it, you got to do it, you got to do it, you got to do it. And I got to say, most of the people that have said that have supported me and backed it, which hey, they were right. It got funded in the first 2 hours. So good evening, Chris. Good to see you. Yeah, we're just doing kind of like a little montage shot for a sketch cover where we'll have all the main characters. We got the correlator here. We're gonna have Jana War here. Colonel Feathers will be here. Undersea Hero will be here. Then we'll put little Professor Prawn right there on his little floating platform. Hey, Chad. Oh, well, thank you for coming in. I'm glad to hear that you like watching me draw. When I was a kid, I used to watch, of course, like everybody watched, I think, that watched PBS, watched Bob Ross. And that was kind of the impetus of my decision to start doing this because it inspired me as a kid. And, that was the original grain of an idea. And then I saw all the streaming happening and other people, it's not an original idea. I don't claim that it is, but I will say that we all had it. I mean, it was right there, and it was just, people like to say like, "Oh, he's not a good painter or whatever," and like it was a gateway to seeing someone create stuff artistically, and it was so important for me as a kid. Happy little undersea hero and his little undersea friends and all the happy undersea creatures. Happy little piece of coral. But I had two signings over the weekend. One was at Alternate Universe down in Milford, Connecticut. I went down there and gave away a bunch of drawings and signed a bunch of books. And a couple of nice folks bought a couple of drawings, which really helped with my Christmas shopping. I think what I'll do is I'll have the light coming from this side, coming down, so that we can have a nice heavy shadow area on the left side that makes the other characters pop more. I think that's what we'll do. Good evening, Desiree. Sorry if I missed your comment there. One thing that I found funny, and maybe the folks in the stream will find funny, is there was one question that came up at both signings that I had never anticipated being asked. And my answer for it was the same one I had had for other similar things. Um, but I didn't expect to be asked it at both places, unrelated, without coordination. And it has to do with Crackus as martini glass. And they were asking how the martini stays in the glass. And my answer was pretty simple. It was because it's funny. And then they proceeded to try to explain some sciencey stuff to me and try to get me to like either change it or explain it differently. I don't know, but they were not pleased with the answer because it's funny, and I think that's the best answer for questions like why is this so silly? Science, the killer of creation. Yeah, they were both hung up on like the hydrodynamics of how his alcoholic beverage stays in the glass. Um, and a couple of things that were pointed out to me that, again, it's in the Kickstarter campaign. One, this issue is not just a single issue, so that's you're not paying $20 or more for a single issue. You're getting a 3-issue miniseries is what you're getting, and you're getting all the stretch goals, and you're getting a complete story. So it does lead into the next story, and since it got funded, we can start thinking about that down the road. I did. I found it silly that the having to explain. It was almost like there was I felt like they were trying to get me in like a gotcha question or something, and I was just like, no, I did that because it's funny. I said it pretty straight faced too. Oh, no worries, Brendan. I actually usually back stuff towards the middle or the end myself, just because it helps bump it up in the Kickstarter algorithm. Like when my friends set theirs up, I try to put a reminder to say that I backed it like halfway through, because everybody that I've talked to said that there's like everybody has a slow up in the middle of the campaign, and that it helps if you hit it up at the end. Desiree has another movie rec, The Boy and the Heron. Yeah, that's the new Miyazaki. I always catch those flicks. So you liked it? You enjoyed it? Just getting in my chair. My back's a little sore. My back's always sore, but you folks already know that. It's slower than usual and moody, but it works. Lovely. I look forward to it. I may not get to see it till after the holidays, though. Busy, busy, busy. And people who ordered stuff during my move off of my website, the people are starting to get their orders. So keep an eye out in the mail. I only have 2 that people ask for custom drawings, and I'm still finishing those drawings. But I've been in contact with everybody, so everybody seems to be doing okay with it. Jana War is fun to draw her hair, but it does take a long time to draw that. That pencil sketch I did today, I shouldn't have drawn as much as I did. I bit off more than I could chew. What have I been watching lately? Not a whole lot. I did get one big book this weekend. I showed it earlier. The first appearance of the Creeper. Got this at New England Comics in Quincy. Thanks to Tom there. Yeah. Original Showcase 73. Still getting stuff ready for the holidays. I haven't finished. My wife got the lights on the tree, and I have put up a couple of decorations, but still got to finish decorating that. Still have to do a lot of wrapping. I think all the mailed stuff is out, so that's good. Still got a couple of things I'm waiting to arrive. To make his chin bigger. It's not exaggerated enough. He's down like that. Saw it in the skull comes back here. Like that. It's got like a big gold necklace thing. I don't know why I designed it that way. That was probably not the best call. as far as these little marks won't be there at the end. They're just me checking the spacing on like where her cheekbones are and the jawbones and eye sockets and all that good stuff. Actually been working a lot on shoulders lately, like where the collarbone connects to the top of the rib cage and into the actual shoulder socket. How those muscles all connect, like right there's the pectoral muscle and where that connects in relation to the bicep. Of course, I haven't even drawn her hair, so like some of all that work I just did is gonna get covered up. Get Colonel Feathers in here. Right here is where the little Professor Prawn will be. I still gotta come back in with my regular pencil on this. Anybody have any cool holiday traditions that they do? Is there a movie you gotta watch? Is there a beverage of choice? We usually put some eggnog in our coffee around this time of year. That's usually one of the things that we do. Colonel Feathers is actually not an easy head to draw, believe it or not. Soften the jawline a little bit. Soften it a little bit. What makes Colonel Feathers a little bit tougher is because of the way a penguin's head attaches with the rest of its body. I know it looks like it's just a giant cigar shape or whatever, but it's not. Its head comes up like that. You know, the bird has a skull, but then it's got like its little chubby neck. And then they have like a little bump in their back. Comes out like this, where their little bird shoulders are. Hey, Burton. Thanks so much. Thanks for popping in. Hope everything's good with you. I haven't heard from you in a little while. Yeah, I hope you're well and everything's good with the family. Desiree says, South Park Christmas short, the one that started it all, A Christmas Story, some animated fare such as The Grinch, plus there's a funny bit from the old TV called Raging Rudolph that I, Courtney, love. Christmas Story for me, for the Christmas movies. And I got to admit, I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I did not mind the recent sequel, the Christmas Story Christmas, that had the kid as an adult. I mean, they had the mother character in it, but unfortunately the actress had passed away, so they had to recast her, but it had really everybody else in it. Make it look sly. With Colonel Feathers, you got to exaggerate the bill. It bends and it moves a little bit depending on like his emotion. I know that sounds weird to say penguin emotions, but here we are. This is Undersea Hero. This is not. I did have to explain also, and I don't mind doing this because I enjoy it. As far as just learning what people want to ask about Undersea Hero as I introduce it to people, of why a penguin needs an air pack. And I tell them it's because a penguin cannot breathe underwater. He'd have to keep going to the surface for air, and he wants to stay underwater. It is the correlator, yes. Just doing kind of like a montage of headshots and character shots, just for fun. It's kind of like what I do every day as my warm up. Is I'll draw like a sheet with just a bunch of heads on it. And I'll spend about 15 to 20 minutes and do, let's say, 7 or 8, where I'm just working on remembering how all the shapes fit together. I've got the little boot shape to the chin. I will say that it was a very excellent day when Mr. Ben Edlin complimented how I draw chins. That was a good day. He was referring to my work on the tick, but the similarities are obvious. At some point, I'll need to draw like a almost like an X-ray of the Undersea Hero skull, just because I think that would be a funny joke. Like maybe that'll be a sight gag in an issue, or in a future story. There are other characters I would love to draw on here that make their debut in Great Barrier Reef, but they're not main characters. I don't know. I don't want to get too far into the weeds for people. You don't know it yet, but Professor Prawn has this little platform that he rides around on. Um, and you'd think that, why does a shrimp who swims very fast? Because I know you all knew that shrimp are very fast swimmers. Need a little platform. And it's just because it looks cool and it's funny. Because it's funny is always an answer that I will use, even though people will still question the science of Undersea Hero, as we discussed. I don't know if anybody ever saw the old Street Fighter movie. with Raul Julia. Um, there's a scene where Raul Julia is riding on a little evil little platform of doom, and I always just thought it was like one of those cool supervillain things that. Gonna have to go with the hair going down here like this, just because we need to frame the character a little bit. And then we can have a little bit of here, like that. I just received the John Lucas inks for his cover, and I have to get that colored and up before the end of the streams, at the end of the Kickstarter. So it's going to have to be this weekend so people can see the John Lucas cover. Decide if they want to get the John Lucas cover, which I hope they do because it's beautiful. If people don't know John's work, it's a wonderful mix of traditional comics, traditional American comics of like the EC Mad Magazine, original run, like Ghastly Graham Ingalls and Harvey Kurtzman, that era. Very steeped in that tradition. I can actually have a little more hair down there. It's the fun thing about these characters is they can move with the composition a little bit. There's a little bit of play with the designs so that there's always room to add and move and get more dynamic poses. Eli, I was at New England Comics this weekend, did a signing there, and one of the employees from the Cambridge store said that they had found a couple of sketches you had done for stores, I think, at some point. I asked them to send me a picture if they could, then I'd pass it along to you. Just for a memory lane, I suppose. Or if you don't want to see them, that's okay. I understand not always wanting to see old work. All right, well, let's see what we can pull out of this sucker with a little bit better pencil. Try to exaggerate a little bit here and there, a little better than I was. Trying to line up the eyes so that they are both looking at the viewer. Yeah, whenever they send them, I'll send them along. There was a person working at the store that said that they would bounce between the stores and that they found some old artwork of yours. It wasn't pages. It sounded like it was just a couple of sketches that you'd done, maybe for, I don't know, a signing or I don't know. Since we're gonna cut this side off a little bit, we don't have to be as fine with those details there. Start to clarify some of these shapes, because right now what I'm really doing, this is part of like the decision making process. Before I was just kind of ballparking it. Now I got to make those decisions like concrete. Like this line looks like this line goes at this angle, this line cuts this way. I think we all know what we need to do for Eli for Christmas is we need to go on the New England Comics website and order a copy of his book and have it sent to him. If I'd known, I would have just grabbed one. This is just a sketch cover. This will be used for someone who buys the sketch cover tier on the Kickstarter, and they could get this very cover. Now I'm going to fill this stuff in just so that you can better see what the final product will be in case we don't get to ink it tonight. When I'm doing penciling for myself to ink, I don't always fill it in like this. I'll just put like little X's or something and leave room for me to noodle away at it there. But the point of putting all that extra work in underneath that you see that I'm now like just having disappear is that all the pieces that'll be remaining will be in the right place. Or at least closer to it than if I just eyeballed it and drawn a silhouette. just wanted to draw something fun, a little bit more relaxing. Sometimes when I get onto pages on here, I just tense up. So sketch covers, I can just kind of scoot all over and move around and just kind of dig into the paper a little bit and not have to worry so much. 'Cause it's not going to be reprinted, at this point, at least 1,000 times. Wow, the pumpkin exploded. Jeez. That is a story, Eli. Hey, Dennis, I'm doing okay. How are you today? Just having fun working on a sketch cover. It's a little bit easier to just kind of have fun noodling on a drawing with this stuff with a sketch cover than sometimes with like the big pieces I've done on here in the past. But hey, how are you doing? How's the work on the next motion comic going? Dennis is a voice actor. He's working with my buddy Joe St. Pierre on the next motion comic for New Zodiacs, which is very cool. First one is on YouTube. Oh, as always, feel free to drop your links in the chat or whatever. If anyone else has an active campaign, feel free, or coming soon or any of that, feel free to throw it in the comments there. I forget to mention that because I just don't assume that my platform here is something people want to promote on. So Dennis says it's going really great. Oh no. It's a lovely thing. Sketch covers are great. They've done them for the Tick and everything. They show up just like from your printer, like any other comic in a pack like this. And it's got a blank cover. On my sketch covers, I pay extra for the Bristol. So this is actual good Bristol to draw on. You can ink on it, you can watercolor on it, and then it's got an inside back cover that's the black and white line art to the poster that's in the middle. So that was why I designed it that way, so you could see the original line art and then the finished color art in the middle. But you have the whole comic inside of this like outer shell. And this is the exact same comic that would be without it, but it has this nice scored Bristol board attached to the outside, and you get the whole comic, and then you get an original drawing on the cover. So it's like this becomes a one of one. Like there's no other comic like it. And sketch covers were really hot for a while, and then they kind of became less and less popular, but artists still use them to draw on. And one of the interesting things about sketch covers, and this is something that artists that show their work or sell their work of other people's characters, like they want you to draw on them. Like why else would they put out a blank cover? There is an implied consent, as it is called in the eyes of the law. that you're allowed to draw on these, and comics are resold, so it's like a permissible way to draw other uh, characters. Bewildered Biscuits. Oh, no problem. Yeah. My friends are always welcome to share their campaigns and such on the stream here. One thing to remember when drawing Undersea Hero, when you do so at home, because obviously he's become your favorite character, you want to just draw him on your notebook and anywhere you see, is that the bridge of the nose is usually the middle of the head for most normal skulls. In this case, in Undersea Hero, it's actually the bottom of the nose. So, like, the middle of the head is actually the bottom of the nose right here. So this and this need to be the same height. Now he's got his mouth open, so we can lose a little bit of that. So let's say it's about that far. So from there to there, and it's tilted a little bit. So you go right about like that. Oh, you're working with Keith. Very cool. Yeah. I don't know Keith that well. I know he's friends with Joe, but I only met him in person at it was either a Super Mega Fest or Northeast Comic Con. I only met him there once, and then at Rhode Island this past year. So, well, good luck. We hope it's an excellent experience for you. Everybody makes something cool together. Yeah, I only met him for the first time. It might have been at a show with you, Jonathan. It might have been at did we go to Northeast? I don't know if we went to Northeast. Oh, there you go. There's the title for Eli's. I don't know if this is a link, but on my end it doesn't show up as a link. Gotta have his hair that always looks like it's moving underwater. That's another thing that if I were to, I've messed around with some animation, so I may at some point just animate a picture of Undersea Hero with his hair. Am I familiar with Keith's Daybreak comic? I am not. No. I read. What did I read that Keith did? I read. Was it Armor or something that he did for Image? I read. I read that. Um, Gotta fix this eye. It's messed up. Oh, cool. That'll be your next motion comic. Is it the same crew? All of your is the new Zodiacs group? Or do you work with different voice actors? I haven't looked into your production company all that much, so I don't know if you have like a troupe or if it's just the few of you that. Okay, cool. I usually think I need to exaggerate this side a little bit more. Yeah. This needs to come up a little bit more. All those subtle little shaping bits, just as I'm going along, I'll sometimes see something that needs just a little tweak, a little. This isn't a variant. Well, the sketch cover is a variant of the issue 0, and I did a little explanation about what sketch covers are. But yeah, it's a blank comic cover with the full comic of the issue 0 on the inside, and I can just draw on this. Your mileage may vary on the quality of the paper, but I always pay extra for the good Bristol on the cover. So, like, if you ever get a Fat Cat Funnies with this logo on it, sketch cover, at your table to draw on, I can promise you it's the best art paper I could get for that application. So now we're working on Lord Crackus here. Thanks. Yeah. Most artists still make them. You know, they were really popular for a little while. They got less popular, and some people hate them. Some people love them. I enjoy drawing on them. I didn't like drawing on them when they first came out. It took me a long time to get used to this will sound weird, the elevation. So like having the paper not flat on the table, but having this little bit of stuff on top of it. Hey, Andrew. Good to see you, man. Dennis, so am I. Yeah, it'll be out in the summertime. And when this is done, I'm gonna be. I'm proud of the story. I'm proud of the jokes. I'm proud of the characters. I think that the potential that people saw on the one issue of the Tick that I wrote or got credit for writing um, gets realized because when I wrote that story, it did get edited considerably, and I thought it got less funny. So I'm excited to have my work as I intended out there, and hopefully people think it's funny. You know. Hello. I've been drawing I drew the tick for a long time, but I also wrote and drew one issue. I was credited with writing it. Um, but I say credited because like they made some changes even after I had submitted it. So with the artwork, but it's their prerogative. So it's their character, their you know their dime, as it were. But it's the fact that I wanted to put something out that Michael, I'm doing okay. It's a nutty time here with the everything going on with the holidays, the Kickstarter, and some family stuff, but we are hanging in there. How are you? Aaron's here. We've got someone from across the pond, as it were, tuning in tonight. He's one of the biggest Conan fans probably in the world. If with his collection, he has a group on Facebook where he shows off his collection and encourages artists to show off their work and stuff. I think it's a private group, but I think that they're pretty open to anybody who likes Conan. It's not a high bar for um, exclusivity. You just have to like Conan and know some of the books. I think there are questions at the beginning. We do have a voice actor in the audience there. Everybody run over to his IMDb page immediately. Hit the thumbs up there. Hey, Brian's here. Brian Bollinger, one of the biggest Tick fans in the world, and one of the reasons why Undersea Hero is happening. I say that because he'll put out issue 0, and he is a good friend, and he is just a big supporter of it. So fine. I think we need to break this line here just so that it's in front. When you're layering stuff, we can just go in front of that line. I think it makes it the depth better. I don't get tired of drawing Krakus just hanging out. I was working on a cartoon of him just watching underwater TV the other day, and like drawing a cuttlefish doing mundane things is more fun than you would think it is. Like he's fun to draw, even like going to the post office or something like that. Michael says he finished the line work and lettering of his latest book. Congratulations! Hey! Well, we're going to be drawing Colonel Feathers next, so we gotta. He's an important character. He's super important. I even have a solo Colonel Feathers story, a short story that's already written. So I don't know when that'll come out. I would like to do just some web shorts after the book's done. Just different short stories that maybe for the next book they can be like a side book or something, or like an extra. But there's a character named Radio Bear that I really like that's in the book. He's just a bear with a radio. Um, Dennis, I know you're also a big fan. Yes, everybody here has been just super supportive. Like everyone in the, I don't think there's a single person in the chat that hasn't been vital to the book happening so far. So you've just shared stuff on social media. You've backed the Kickstarter. You've just been a huge supporter of me. I couldn't ask for a better group of friends to help me make this very, very silly comic book that I'm excited will exist. Oh, we can't. We can't start a spin-off comic. I don't believe. I don't know if Eli did any of the Heroes of the City comics, but I know Gabe did. I know Gabe did some of those, and Sean did some of the covers, but that might have been after Eli's tenure. I don't know if there's a market for a spin-off comic, but maybe. That's the kind of thing where I would definitely have to have the financial wherewithal to hire other professional artists to draw the things. If it was a spin-off thing, if it was just a little web strip, I think that I could handle that type of side project, but it would be probably next fall based on all the stuff, because I can't work on anything other than this probably for the next. Hey, Matt's here. There's another voice actor slash. I'm just going to call it from now on. I think Matt and Dennis are now the Hollywood elites. I think, or the Hollywood royalty. We'll come up with a good moniker for the gents from the motion comic business here. Hollywood royalty sounds good to me. It's true. Man Eating Cow went on for quite a few issues, Brian. How many did that go for? Because wasn't that the longest running spinoff? The one spinoff that I loved, and they only did a few issues, was Xander Cannon doing Chainsaw Vigilante. I thought the art in that was just brilliant. I thought that was another instance where NEC had a super talented person like just show up. And that was one where I had asked George about it, and he was not really a fan of that one, which was surprising because I thought it was just terrific. If I recall correctly, that's what he had told me. Hold on, I need reference for my shoulder straps. Yeah, they go higher. My mistake. My mistake, Colonel Feathers. Your shoulder straps go much higher. Yeah, I love that mini series, the Chainsaw Vigilante one. It's beautifully drawn, and it's so different from Ben's work and Eli's work. It was just different, and it was completely unexpected, I think, um, from NEC at the time, because everything in the Tick world, artists had their own take, but it was still it was not as impressionistic as what Xander was doing. I don't know. He's just, he's won all the awards in comics at this point, I believe. I think he's got what, 2 Eisners? Thinner, dark areas for Colonel Feathers. I did not know that. Bob said that he gave it his nod of approval based on one drawing in Xander's portfolio, and it was just of a random guy smoking a cigarette. He just loved how it looked. There's Colonel Feathers. There's I notice that every now and again I draw him, he looks kind of judgmental. I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it's because birds just inherently look judgmental. That's right. It's got the little caps on his eyes. I think what we need to do. We can't cut that off because that's gonna look weird. See where his little arms are. Yeah, they're actually right below. They're right here. So. Oh, that's interesting. We're gonna pop this comment from Eli so people can get this story about Ben and Xander's work. I was sort of shocked at the time. 27 years old, maybe. Because when I do the Ticks World, I'm doing sort of an impression of Ben. And when I saw Xander's stuff, I thought I wouldn't be surprised if this is a little too off model for Ben. And I can totally see the logic of where you're coming from, and that's the thought I had from New England Comics' perspective, because they have always told me that like we want it to look not exactly like Ben, but Ben adjacent. I believe is the description that Bob used for me. Um, And I actually think that my better Tick comics are the ones where I pulled away from trying to do Ben adjacent. Because my stuff obviously doesn't look very much like Ben at all, but I was just trying to go for the feeling I got when I read Ben. Like I would twist the perspective a little bit here and there. I would, try to give a sense of motion in things like that didn't necessarily have motion. And elasticity that was not always consistent from panel to panel. I remember when I asked Ben about the shape of the Tick's head because I was trying to think in terms of turnarounds. I was like, from one perspective, the Tick's head is shaped like this, but from another perspective, it's shaped like this. And I asked him, am I reading it wrong? He said, no, I draw it different from different angles. The Professor Prawn logo is a little shrimp. It's just a shrimp. Like you'd see at a restaurant, it's a shrimp, and then there's a little R, just a little line for the P. He really, he really embraces. Here's the rest of that story. He really embraces weird, even when it comes to interpretations of his own material, which is very emotionally healthy, right? It's an ego aside, let's see how to shake things up attitude. Yeah, I would agree. I would completely agree with that. Get rid of this. Here's our Professor Prawn in his little prawn platform. Gotta get those little legs. You can't see his tail. His tail's like right here. And he's like, his little feet would be like right here. But there's Professor Prawn. I always have him yelling. He's always yelling maniacally. Because he's the most evil out of the group, I would say. Two different types of erasers for two different types of erasing. Eli says, Matt and Dennis are voice guys. Hi, Matt and Dennis. I've always been fascinated by voiceover actors, and I was lucky enough to direct a crew once for an animated pilot. It was super fun recording, and I recently was lucky enough to be a voice as well of my friend Gabe's pilot pitch, cartoon pilot pitch. I do know Gabe. I don't know him obviously as well as you do, but I really like Gabe, and I got to sit with him at a couple of San Diego Comic Cons. I was really hoping that he and the missus would be at this year's show, but they did not attend. Had dinner with Gabe and Carrie a couple times. But yeah, he had much the similar reaction that you did when I was like, "Oh man, I read your comics growing up," and he was like, "Really?" It's like, "Yeah." Oh, Matt got his package yesterday. Excellent, excellent. See, everybody Everybody's now getting the boxes that were late. Were absolutely late because I was moving and everything. Um, but I tried to throw in some extra goodies for everybody. Try to make up for it. And pull this out a little bit. Oh, Desiree interviewed someone. Uh, I'm not sure who Michael Center Nichols is, but hey, man, yeah, I mean, you're welcome to, open it up. I mean, it's entirely up to you. There is a handwritten note to you, so I don't know if it's how you feel about sharing correspondence with people. I don't know. I keep my correspondence pretty at home, but whatever you feel comfortable with is fine with me. It's just like a thank you, a heartfelt thank you. He's done lots of stuff, including Leo in the 2003 Venture, Dean on the Venture Brothers. He also works on the voice actors. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I watched the Venture Brothers. I just didn't recognize the name. I'm not always good with that. Very cool. Yeah, I saw the first episode of the Venture Brothers when it first aired, and actually Eli worked on that episode. So, um, but one thing I remember about it was I remember that they were advertising that the Venture Brothers in a lot of really smart places. I remember there anything that was comic book related, anything that was I think they even put it on it wasn't just advertised on Cartoon Network. I think I remember it being advertised during TV shows on other networks. At least I have a memory of that. It could be wrong. Memory could be wrong, but I do remember them advertising it all over the place as far as TV spots go. I know you did some of the boards and the in-betweens and stuff. Did you do, like, the, some of the advertising artwork too? That's right. Just gonna put a little bit of hair down here. Hey, David. Oh, excellent. The Ashcan edition. Look at you with the rarest form. How about that? I think that we're only standing at like 4 or 5 copies of that book being made, the Ashcan edition. So if you're an old school comic fan and you like the rarest of the rare, the Ashcan version of Great Barrier Beef will be one of the rarest comics probably ever made, unless there's like some one of ones floating out there. But as far as there may only be 4 copies made, 5 copies. I'm only making them to order, and I'm keeping one. So like 1 copy will be with me, and then the rest or whatever gets ordered, and then that's it. I mean, it might only be you and Brian. So it might be 2. There might only be 2 copies. I'd have to double check the Kickstarter, but it was not like flying off the shelves or anything. The Ashcan version. The early bird special was super popular. Everybody jumped in on that right away, which is great. That's what it's there for. Which was the book and the sketch. So that was actually what Joe St. Pierre did. He suggested doing that as the early bird. And of course, the day after the early bird ends, someone messages me, "Hey, can I get in on the early bird?" I had to say, "I'm sorry, no." All right, it is 9:30. So we actually made it through the pencils. So I think that's what we're gonna call it with the pencils being done. Oh, oh, no, I spoke too soon. I gotta get the little crisscrossies for his shirt. And then we can call it that. Thanks everybody for coming out. We've only got one more of these while the Kickstarter is live, and then we'll do something like mainstreamy. We'll draw, I don't know, like you guys saw the Batman I did, or something else. But yeah, thank you all. I hope that everybody has a lovely, lovely holiday. For those that celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. And I hope everybody has a safe, wonderful weekend. So I can't leave until I explain the martini under the sea. Oh, Desiree. I was so, I was dumbfounded by that situation. Please explain how he can have an alcoholic beverage underwater. Never a dull moment. Good night, everybody. Thank you.